Hail Nation.
Bill Feierabend.
And Frank Thorwald. We have a quorum. Excuse me. The next is a presentation by Arizona Energy Partners for justification of well spacing. Is there somebody here from?
Yes, I don't know. Did you want me to sit?
Please come forward and state your name.
My name is Jamie Hogue. I'm representing Arizona Energy Partners, and I believe Dennis has a. Today I was going to keep it simple. This is very similar to our spacing exception request during the last hearing, so I wasn't going to put through the same presentation twice. But I did have one image I'd like to share with you.
A little behind your pieces. Just hold on a second.
Okay. Well, while he's doing that, just to conserve time, I can give some of the background information on the lease if you'd like.
Go ahead.
This AEP 16-1 well would be located in Section 16, Township 14 North, Range 24 East, which is in Apache County. It's about 20 miles east of Snowflake and about 32 miles southeast of Holbrook. The proposed depth of this AEP 16-1 well is about 4,000 feet. This is similar to the well that we looked at the last spacing hearing, spacing exception request hearing. Our targets are Devonian and Pennsylvania Naco, which are both oil producing zones. I'll use the map when it comes up to talk about the topography, but from a geological standpoint, there is an existing well that was drilled to the section just immediately to the east, the Petrosun and an NMAL 15-1 that was drilled into the Devonian and came across about 45 feet of Devonian, so we believe there is Devonian in this location. This map should help. Okay, so locationally, the blue dot is the proposed well location, and if you recall, we've actually already partially drilled this well. It's in a TA status. We ran into problems at about 1,600 feet and decided to rig down and bring in a larger rig. So the well location has been partially drilled. Given dialogue with Arizona Oil and Gas Conservation Commission staff, we opted to proceed with a spacing exception request so that we can test for gas as well as oil at this location. So you can see, the map's not quite as big as I'd hoped, but these dotted lines are two faults. And Commissioner Nation, this image that I'm referring to is the supplemental map that I believe Dennis provided to all of you in your packets, just so you have some context of what I'm talking about. So again, the red line would be the standard gas spacing 90 acres within the center of the section that's allowed by commission rule. That's why we're here today requesting the spacing exception request. As indicated, the dotted black lines are the two fault structures. We're trying to stay on the upward side, which is this side. There are ridge lines right here, and you can see even in the center of the section where we would be able to place a gas well without having to pursue a spacing exception. Number one, far too close to that fault, and it's also you can barely see, but it's topographically challenged. There's ridges throughout that entire center of the section. So the location we chose, there's a ridge line right here. We're trying to stay off the ridge line. There's some flat area right here. There's a road, existing road that we'll be able to use in the east to access the well. And because of the topography and the need to be on the upthrown side, of the fault, that location was the ideal location for us to pursue. And you can see the two existing, I referred to this Petrosun 15-1 NMAL well. That is the well that encountered about 45 feet of Devonian. That I think was 3,600 feet, no, 3,648. And that well was drilled in 1999. And I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
So your 4,000, Bill Feierabend, so your 4,000 foot proposed depth would, you think would cut the Devonian and give you an adequate test of the
We're hoping to reach the basement of or basically the bottom of the Devonian at that 4,000 foot range. I mean, we don't know exactly where it's going to be.
Yeah, so, but I mean, if it's a little deeper, you go a little deeper. If it's a little shallower, maybe you cut off. I mean, nobody knows
until
exactly in subsurface until you drill, but Okay.
And correct, we would be submitting daily drilling reports, so at that point, Dennis would be getting notification if we intended to go beyond the 4,000 feet.
Or less.
Or less, if
Yeah.
we stopped earlier. Obviously, that would come through in our daily reports.
Yeah.
Commissioner Nations, do you have any questions?
No, I don't have a problem with that.
Dennis, what's your analysis?
I recommended the commission approval of the spacing exception for this well.
Commissioners, is there any further discussion on this? Do I have a motion?
Actually, if I have one quick comment.
Sorry to interrupt, but when am I allowed to speak?
Not till the end.
This is Dale Nation. I'm responding to the question. Yeah, I approve the spacing exception.
A quick comment before we take a vote. Ms. Hogue, you mentioned that it's currently in temporarily abandoned status. Prior to beginning work on it, I'd suggest you take a look at Administrative Code R127-125D, which says an operator shall ensure that no work begins on a temporarily abandoned or shut-in well until approved by the Commission. The operator shall give at least 24 hours notice to the Commission before any work begins. One of the difficulties is I don't think you made a request today. Your request today was for approval of well spacing. It was not for approval or any comment in regards to the current status. My suggestion is that you make sure it gets on an agenda for the next meeting, because according to my reading here, you can't start work until approved by the Commission.
Okay, and Mr. Zeiss, I was under the impression that a sundry notice that submitted in advance indicating that we would intended to begin drilling or re-drilling or re-enter the well would be adequate, but you're suggesting we have to come back to the Commission?
I'm reading as I went right back to code, or to rule. An operator shall ensure that no work begins on a temporarily abandoned or shut-in well until approved by the Commission. And my concern is that the agenda today did not include any type of vote or approval by the Commission, which would be required, I believe, by reading the code. The sundry notice for 24 hours notice before the Commission work begins would be after the Commission approves a temporary removal of the status or change of status.
Okay. On the other hearing, or excuse me, on the Commission's meeting agenda today, we have APD extensions for 2 additional wells that we'll be talking about at that time. We wouldn't plan to re-enter this well until we had approvals to proceed with drilling those other wells. So this,
I appreciate that. My goal was to make sure that AEP and you did not take any steps that would violate any of our rule or statute. So I appreciate your input.
okay, thank you.
And with that, my comments done. Thank you.
Commissioners, do I have any motions?
I'll move. This is Dale Nations. I move that we approve the request for a spacing exception for the AEP 16-1.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Aye. Any nays? Any abstentions? The motion carries. Your
Thank you, sir.
spacing exception is approved. At this point, having no other business, there will be a call to the public. Lisa?
Wait.
Oh, just a moment.
Take a step back.
One moment.
One of our problems is this was a well spacing exception, not a call to the public.
Okay.
Call to the public. Call to the public would have to occur at the 10:30 meeting.
One moment. I'm sorry.
A call to the public would be at the 10:30 meeting unless you wanted to go off schedule, off agenda. I'm not sure I'd suggest that.
Since this is I was just advised, since this is a public.
I'm sorry, my mistake. She has 3 minutes.
Okay.
Any member of the public wishing to speak is only limited to 3 minutes. I wanted to make sure that it's on the agenda.
You go right ahead. You can start. You have 3 minutes. Lisa.
Okay, well, I thought that I would be able to comment on what was just going on, but anyway, we're on the northeast sloping side of the anticline where the layers bend downward from the crest, and this is a really big area, and the crest being fault at this church. The wells they're proposing to drill are located on the northeast dipping side of the anticline, and we have karst topography here. And this stuff is ripe for forming sinkholes. In fact, they're already an enormous problem with naturally occurring sinkholes. Not only that, fluids actually move laterally along stratigraphic lines here, and with karst limestone, stimulation or agitation will cause the transmigration of the water tables along the stratigraphic lines as well. And structurally, they're on part of the anticline where the underground karst topography is active. Now, according to the book Vaporized Sediments, Resources, and Hydrocarbons by John K. Warren, it says more than 50 sinkholes formed in just the Dry Lake area alone from 1963 to 1995. And dissolution karst features continue to form today. Well, karst features attributed to evaporate dissolution in the Holbrook Basin are pull-apart fissures, Robin sinks, which are downward drop blocks, breccia pipes, and plugs, and numerous small depressions with and without sinkholes. The presence of more than 500 karst features in the Holbrook Basin, some of which formed to date, evokes practical karst hazard and infrastructure concerns even in such a sparsely populated region. Along the pollution front, there is an expansive salt removal, which has produced a regional gravity depression, largely coincident with the surface topographic depression, where as much as 100 meters of collapse and topographic displacement has occurred. So according to the document Various Evaporate Karst in the Holbrook Basin, Arizona by James T. Neal, Kenneth S. Johnson, and Paul Lindbergh, it states that fissures are up to 200 meters long, 0.3 to 15 meters wide, and up to 30 meters deep. Numerous stories surround these ancient features, some of which purportedly swallow cattle and possibly 2 people whole. Sinkhole development and collapse are ongoing here, as attested to in the local newspaper reports from Southwest Pioneer in 1984. Comparison of more recent aerial photos taken in 1977 and 1990 showed new fissures and sinkholes formed in the area adjacent to Highway 377. And concern is this for groundwater users down gradient from the park's area. On page 197 of the previous document that I was talking about, and I sent it to you guys, it illustrates what the problem could be created geologically. And these two maps graphically illustrate what the issue is geologically with messing with the karst stratigraphic area. And now, breccia pipes in this region are very common, and many complaints have been made by local farmers about the speed at which water is drained from large pools on lakes. I'm at 3 minutes.
1 minute.
Yeah, 1 more minute.
Oh, okay. Well, there's a vast network of these pipes that exist in the Holbrook Basin, and if chemicals reach the breccia pipes, it'll follow the route that the water naturally takes through that pipe. Whether it lands in an aquifer or in rivers and lakes, without proper understanding of the breccia pipe formations, fracking and even chemicals from drilling alone can be very harmful to human health and pose threat to our only water supply. Now, this report also claims this leads to what this affects similar origin and groundwater movement towards the Little Colorado River drainage system. Little Colorado leads to the Colorado River and to Lake Mead, which supplies over 40 million people with water. It also gets water from the Coconino Aquifer.
15.
So if the aquifer or the Little Colorado get contaminated, millions of people could pay the price. The second newer report says well over 600 such features are readily visible on air photos, and many more at smaller scale exist, which is at least 100 more than the previous report from 1996. Now, I'm no geologist, but this seems dangerous to me for multiple reasons.
Lisa.
At the end of this report, it actually states
That's 3 minutes.
through the many areas of karst.
Your 3 minutes are up.
Create multiple avenues for potential entry of saltwater brine, aquifers, and potential water supplies.
Lisa, your 3 minutes are up.
Vigilant.
Ma'am, your 3 minutes are up. Sorry.
Okay.
Thank you for your comments. Anybody else? No, we can't do it. You're the only one that was in this section that was on the agenda for that, for speaking. Not having any more business with regard to the spacing exception, this hearing is concluded. Thank you.